Crash on the Bishop Ford overnight, where we are learning about the victims.
Police in England make a high-profile arrest in connection to the Jeffrey Epstein case.
And a schedule of services for the late Reverend Jesse Jackson has been released.
And taking a live look outside this morning, we have the potential for some storms today. Mike has details on the timing.
All right, we thank you for joining us here at 7 a.m. on your Thursday morning. Mike, what are we looking at? A little rain in our forecast?
Some of us have seen some overnight.
Okay.
Hopefully it wasn't the dirty kind like we had
Like I said, you know who parks in a garage and who doesn't.
That's right.
Yes.
My car was extra dirty.
Mine was too.
Filthy. And we've reported on it here. It's also on our website explaining why that happened. I wrote about it on my Facebook page too. Today there are showers and thunderstorms, especially this afternoon and this evening, and some of those could be strong. And there is not, there is a possibility that some of these could actually be severe. Hail and damaging straight-line winds will be the primary threats. Mainly dry at 9, 47 degrees. We'll see a mixture of clouds and sun at that time, kind of waiting for the rain at noon. As temperatures climb into the 50s across most of Chicagoland, it will be a little cooler at the lakefront. Chance of storms, though, getting underway about 4 o'clock, and that'll continue for about 6 hours. It's 40 at O'Hare, mixture of clouds and sun out there with a north wind at 6. Quick check of area temperatures. Aurora, the cold spot, 27, but it's 41 at Midway, 45 degrees at Valparaiso. Back to you.
All right, we start our traffic report. Breaking news. An overnight crash on the Bishop Ford left 2 people dead and multiple other folks injured.
Our Saquon headed over to that area and is live with the latest. Good morning, Say.
Hey, good morning to you. Yeah, we are just outside of University of Chicago Hospital this morning, where some of those victims of that crash were taken here to be treated for their injuries. Now, at least one of those victims is said to be in critical condition right now. And according to preliminary information from Illinois State Police, there was another victim with non-life-threatening injuries. I do want to show you some video here of that crash and what things looked like when it happened. We do know, though, all lanes are now back open. You can see traffic is moving along right now. We do know from Illinois State Police 2 people were killed and 3 others were hurt and transported to the hospital after a single rollover crash. This happened on the Bishop Ford at 111th just before 2 o'clock this morning, and you can see that SUV flipped over onto its side. Once again, there is very limited information at this time as this is an active investigation. But back here at the hospital, you guys, we have seen Illinois State Police here. In fact, there are about 2 squad cars just behind me right outside of the hospital right now. But with that being said, there are still many questions, including the names of those victims who are here at the hospital, including those who were pronounced dead at the scene. We still don't know the extent of their injuries. Things, of course, could have progressed throughout the morning. And we're also working to learn what led up to this crash. All of those calls have been made. Emails are out right now. We will update you as soon as we learn any sort of information. Back to you.
Say, thank you very much for that update. And she just mentioned that the lanes are back open. That's a good thing. But I'm also getting a report that the entrance ramp right where that happened is still closed. This is the on-ramp right at 111th Street on the Bishop Ford Expressway. There's also another accident inbound on the Eisenhower Expressway. Excuse me, right at US 12. So be aware of that. Here's a look at your drive times. It's 42 minutes inbound on the Kennedy from O'Hare to downtown. On the Eisenhower, you're at 48 minutes, Route 390 to downtown. Again, look out for that accident, which has a left lane blocked right at US 12. That was just reported about a half hour ago. On the Stevenson Expressway, you're at 38 minutes inbound from I-355 to DuSable Lakeshore Drive. And Dan Ryan, you're in the red as well, 31 minutes inbound from 95th to downtown.
All right, also breaking this morning, we're hearing from King Charles on the arrest of his brother, the former Prince Andrew. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor is accused of suspicion of misconduct in public office. Andrew had been stripped of royal titles because of his ties to Jeffrey Epstein. But here is a live look this morning at Buckingham Palace. The king says police have the royal family's full support and the law must take its course.
A man accused of killing his wife by throwing her down the stairs of a South Loop condo building is expected to enter a plea in court today. Adam Beckerank has been in the Cook County Jail since being extradited from Michigan, where he had been serving time for a separate domestic violence charge. He has been formally charged with first-degree murder in the death of his wife, Caitlin Tracy. Prosecutors say he threw Tracy down the stairs from the 24th floor. That is an accusation that he and his attorneys both deny.
We now have the schedule for services to honor civil rights leader Reverend Jesse Jackson. Next Wednesday, the 25th, Reverend Jackson will lie in state at Rainbow Push Coalition. That'll be from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. and again on Thursday, the 26th, from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. On Friday, the 27th, a People's Celebration will be held at House of Hope. That's on 752 East 114th Street in Chicago. The service is from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. And on Saturday, the 28th, homegoing services will be held at Rainbow Push Coalition. That's at 930 East 50th Street. The service is from 10 a.m. until 5 p.m.
A bill to keep the Bears' next stadium in Illinois is expected to be up for its first hearing in Springfield today. This measure provides financing for infrastructure, and it's the so-called pilot bill that would give the Bears and other developers the ability to negotiate property tax rates. That's been the sticking point. Lawmakers are up against a stadium funding bill in Indiana that has already made its way through the state Senate.
Governor Pritzker is proposing a $58 billion budget for the state.
Yes, it came in his State of the State address that he delivered yesterday. Brian Jackson is here in studio with the very latest, a recap for us.
Well, the theme of that address was affordability, and there's not a whole lot of new spending in this new budget proposal. In his budget, he's proposing to temporarily pause tax credits for building new data centers. The pause on tax credits is to address the rise in energy demands and rising electric bills. Illinois Republicans appear to be skeptical about the governor's plan.
My goal is delivering at least 2 gigawatts of new clean nuclear capacity in our state, enough to power up to 2 million Illinois homes.
At a time when other states are competing aggressively for investment, this is what we listen to today. Illinois doesn't have a revenue problem. Illinois has a spending problem, and Illinois has a priorities problem.
Governor Pritzker is also proposing a new tax on social media companies. Anthony?
Okay, Brian, thank you very much, sir. Chicago City Council failed to override Mayor Brandon Johnson's veto of a ban on hemp products. Mayor Johnson vetoed the ban because it affected small businesses, he said. Some alders wanted to override the mayor, but there simply weren't enough votes to do that. Those businesses apparently no longer threatened, but some council members say it's children who are at risk. And Mayor Johnson does admit that there is work to do on that front.
Let me be absolutely clear. I am very much concerned and share the concerns that have been raised about hemp products lacking proper safeguards, especially when it comes to packaging or sales practices that may appeal to our children. But while we wait for additional guidance and rules from the federal government, I am vetoing the proposed ordinance as written, as it felt premature and would effectively be a prohibition-style ban on hemp businesses.
There are hundreds of hemp shops in Chicago, which Mayor Johnson says are generating millions in tax revenue.
And to Arizona, the search for Nancy Guthrie has been going on for nearly 3 weeks now. The reward for information leading to Nancy's discovery is now more than $300,000. Investigators are still analyzing DNA found inside the home to attempt to identify that masked person caught on surveillance footage. Earlier DNA tests this week found no matches in the FBI's tracking system.
All right, the U.S. military has significantly increased its presence in the Middle East amid rising tension with Iran. American warships, dozens of fighter jets, and 2 aircraft carrier strike groups are now positioned in the Middle East. The Trump administration says there are multiple reasons the U.S. could strike Iran if nuclear talks fail, though President Trump has not made a formal decision. Closer to home here, 2 men are facing charges in connection to the shooting deaths of 2 women in Hobart, Indiana, 3 years ago. 26-year-old Amos Krim and 25-year-old Saquon Kirksey were arrested on Tuesday. They are accused of shooting and killing Destiny Jackson and Nazira Mohammed. Their bodies were found inside an apartment building in Hobart back in 2022. Police have not determined a motive for this shooting. The family of Destiny Jackson and police, they're both going to be holding a news conference together, a joint one, this afternoon.
Elgin police confirmed the body found in the Fox River this week is that of a missing man. Officials found the body just before 6 Tuesday night. Officials identified him as 53-year-old Ulysses Miguel Segura Durantes. He went missing back in November.
All right, more than 60 years ago, the CTA promised it was going to extend the Red Line south on the far south side. Well, now we are learning that the agency is finally going to be breaking ground on this in the spring. It is a 6-mile extension. This is major of the Red Line, so it ends at 95th currently. This will extend it all the way down to 130th Street. So that means 4 new stops. And there are some community meetings happening next month leading up to this. The first one happens March 10th, and you can take part in that. All you got to do is register on the CTA's website.
All right, good stuff. Taking a live look outside. Time for another check of your forecast. Look at that sun peeking through.
Cool, isn't it? Yeah, that's a neat look there. Look, yesterday was perfectly sunny. Temperatures responded by getting into the 60s. Today, a little more cloud cover, and it's not going to be as warm, and particularly at the lakefront, because there will be an onshore component to the wind. But most of Chicagoland currently rain-free. We've seen a few scattered showers, mainly near the Kankakee River. Some of it's a little bit north of that. Here you can take a look at the radar. And if you're in the Valparaiso area, hey, you got a little shower there. Let's zoom in on this. And you can see that rain coming down. Not any lightning currently, but this may flare up a little bit. Valparaiso, south towards Hebron, and this is going northeast towards Westville and LaPorte. The rest of Chicagoland currently dry. What about temperatures? Most of us are in the 30s. A few spots are in the 40s. There have been a couple of 20s. Look at that Aurora number, 27. 40, though, at O'Hare in the lakefront. Bear in mind, the normal high this time of year is about 37 or 38. A lot of us already ahead of that and will be later today. But it's going to turn cooler at the lakefront. Some of that lake cooled air will push inland. I think we'll hit 55 for the official high. Thunderstorms, some of which could be strong, are going to threaten the area during the afternoon and early evening hours. I'll show you the future radar and look ahead to the weekend, which looks a little more like February in just a few.
We'll be ready. Thanks, Mike. Mark Zuckerberg testifies about young people's use of Facebook and Instagram at a social media addiction trial. What he is saying right after this break.
Dealers.
All right, welcome back. It is 7:14 on your Thursday morning. We appreciate you starting your day with us. To some stories now. A deadly crash overnight happened on the Bishop Ford.
Anthony, we now know 2 people were killed and 3 others were hurt. This was the scene near 111th where that crash happened. You can see an SUV rolled over and landed on its side. One of the victims who was hurt is in critical condition. Right now, all lanes are back open, but the inbound on-ramp from 111th remains closed.
Also breaking, this is another big story from overseas. The former Prince Andrew has been arrested in Britain. This happened this morning. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor was arrested on suspicion of misconduct while in public office. Andrew had already been stripped of his royal titles because of his ties to Jeffrey Epstein.
A man accused of killing his wife by throwing her down the stairs of a South Loop condo building is expected to enter a plea in court today. Adam Beckering has been formally charged with first-degree murder in the death of his wife, Caitlin Tracy. Prosecutors say he threw Tracy down the stairs from the 24th floor.
Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg took the stand in a landmark social media trial. The case was brought by a 20-year-old woman who had signed up for Instagram when she was 9 years old, and she argues that social media was designed and structured to be addictive, and that put her on a path toward depression and suicidal thoughts. Zuckerberg was questioned about Meta's strategy, with attorneys pointing to a 2014 email where Zuckerberg said the amount of time users spent on the platforms was among his biggest concerns. He says they have since shifted their priority to improving the user experience.
Well, if they prevail, this means a lot of future payouts by social media and, well, quite a bit of liability for Mark Zuckerberg.
I really do think Meta has been, frankly, the leader in trying to address these issues. Now it's going to be left up to a California jury.
This lawsuit is unique, though, because it does focus on the structure of social media platforms rather than their content. The outcome of this trial could determine how thousands of other lawsuits are going to play out.
A massive winter storm in the Sierra Nevada has led to the deadliest U.S. avalanche in decades. So 8 backcountry skiers are now confirmed dead near Lake Tahoe, with one that's still missing. The group was caught Tuesday morning despite an active avalanche warning. 6 survivors were rescued after 6 hours in sub-freezing temperatures. The mission has now shifted to recovery as investigators look into why the tour proceeded despite the extreme forecast.
Members of the House Oversight Committee went to Ohio to question the founder of Victoria's Secret as part of the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. Les Wexner was never charged. However, he was named a co-conspirator in a recently unveiled document. Wexner denies the allegations, but does say that he was foolish to put any trust in Epstein, who handled his finances.
The real reason Jeffrey Epstein was able to get away with raping and abusing children, young women, boys, young men for so many years was because of the vast amounts of money that he was able to acquire, and that largely came from Les Wexner.
Depositions of the Clintons by the House Oversight Committee are expected to happen as well in the next week. Those are expected to happen behind closed doors.
The FDA will review Moderna's new mRNA flu vaccine after previously rejecting the application. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has criticized mRNA technology as unsafe and ineffective. Moderna is seeking full approval for people ages 50 to 64 and accelerated approval for those 65 and older. It says the FDA set an August deadline for a decision.
All right, 7:17. Let's check back in with Mike Kaplan.
Ooh.
Gorgeous sunrise.
Ooh, yeah.
Is that all we're going to see of that sun today? I know that you mentioned rain.
Yeah, there will be some rain in the area later today, especially, and there will be some thunderstorms, too. Very un-February-escent weather on the way. I know that's not a real word, but it sounds kind of cool. This is another view of our city looking out over the lakefront. Beautiful sunrise in progress. There have been a couple of rain showers, even a couple of thunderstorms. Most of that activity now is well east of I-65. I'll put this into motion. You can see near Valparaiso, moving towards Westville in LaPorte County. The rest of Chicagoland, not much going on currently, but temperatures showing a little variance. We've got 40 at O'Hare, but only 27 at Sugar Grove, 35 at Chicago Heights. Well, it just updated to 36, 33 at Waukegan, and 43 degrees at Michigan City. Okay, I want to show you that there is a risk of severe thunderstorms today. Take a look at this map here, and where you see green on this map is where there's a marginal risk of severe weather. A little bit farther to the south, the risk is higher. In fact, the Storm Prediction Center has just put out a level 3 enhanced risk area well downstate, south of Champaign, south of Indianapolis. But in the Chicago area, this is to account for the fact that some of the thunderstorms may have some large hail or some damaging winds. I think those will be rather isolated in nature. But be ready for a thunderstorm tonight, especially. Then tomorrow, There's a chance of light snow in the morning. The high will happen at midnight, 44. And then it's February, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, mid to upper 30s before the next warming trend, and a chance of rain arriving on Wednesday. Let's see those traffic times.
Okay, let's run through it, Mike. Here we go at 7:19. On your Thursday morning on the inbound Kennedy, you are at 47 minutes from O'Hare to downtown. On the Eisenhower, you're at 52 minutes. That's your drive time from Route 390 to downtown. On the Stevenson Expressway, you are at 39 minutes inbound between I-355 and DuSable Lakeshore Drive. And on the inbound Dan Ryan, you're in the red there as well. That is a 33-minute ride inbound from 95th to downtown. Those ramp closures have now cleared up. And that accident that we reported just a few minutes ago on the inbound Eisenhower is also cleared up as well.
It's full. I'm so glad we're talking about this. In-home elder care costs are rising at more than 3 times the rate of inflation. So we're going to be talking with an expert about navigating these challenges right after this break.
All right, welcome back here at 7:23 on your Thursday morning. We are hosting a series of debates all week. 2 Democratic primary candidates. In our most recent one, Fritz Kagi and Pat Hines are both running for Cook County Assessor, and they squared off on our Chicago Report debate yesterday and talked about dealing with rising property taxes.
I think it's unfair and it shouldn't have happened, and I'm concerned. The reason why is my assessments, if they'd not been changed, homeowners would have had less share of the burden, and in 2/3 of our neighborhoods in Chicago, bills would have been flatter down. But in a pattern that's continued from past years in the suburbs, big commercial properties got cuts at the Cook County Board of Review Commissioners. Every single cut and break that those commercial properties get passed on to our homeowners. And it has a number. It added $700.
Well, number one, we would clean up the underlying data used to produce the assessment. So right now, the data that's used to produce the assessment creates an unjust result. And so the garbage data that the county assessor has that they're putting through their modeling does not produce a credible result on the other side. Taxpayers know this. They're very frustrated with the results that are coming out of the office, the tax bills that they receive. They don't have any faith that that represents a fair and equitable distribution of the burden. And so it's very important that we have experience and competence to produce an assessment that taxpayers can have faith in.
And I really do suggest that you go check out that full debate and other two that we had this week by Paris Schatz on the Fox Local app. All right, Illinois is being warned to fix its commercial driver's license program or lose millions of dollars. The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration sent a letter to Governor Pritzker outlining its findings. It claims the state illegally issued CDLs to non-citizens or non-permanent residents who live in the state. But the letter says out of the 10,000 CDLs issued, the administration only sampled 150 and found 29 were not compliant. Still, it says if the state doesn't fix it, it will lose up to $128 million in federal highway funding.
We're asking them to give us 30 days to work with us along with our investigation so we can see progress, but they need to stop issuing the non-domiciled CDLs. But if they do not become compliant, they are looking at ways, or we will look at ways to, defund their program. And to start off with, that would be a 4% of their highway funds, which should equal about $64 million.
Okay, so
but we do want to continue to work with them. We want to make sure that this is about safety.
The U.S. Department of Transportation wants Illinois to revoke or reissue all non-compliant CDLs and do its own audit to check for errors. Illinois was not the only state that was audited.
All right, right now in Illinois, if you drive and your blood alcohol concentration is below 0.08, you're in the clear. However, lawmakers are considering a big change. There's a bill that would lower that legal limit for a DUI down to 0.05. The standard blood alcohol charts show that people under 140 pounds can reach that limit after just a single drink. If you do weigh more than 160 pounds, it typically takes 2 drinks to get to that level. And at this point, Utah is the only other state with a legal limit that low. Here's a question. Did you wake up sometime this week to a very dirty car?
Yes.
Gabby and I both did. We've been talking about it this morning, and you can thank Mother Nature. It's kind of a unique little weather phenomenon that led to dirty rain across the area on Tuesday night.
And Mike was able to give us a breakdown. He has that posted. But also experts say wildfires across the plains met with high southeasterly winds, picked up dust and debris. Then the rain trapped those particles, sending them back down to the ground, or in this case, onto our cars.
The soot that's coming down in the rain on your car isn't going to hurt anything. But when you're inhaling particulate matter from something like a wildfire, like the ones we had, the smoke coming down from Canada a few years back, that is actually very harmful for human health.
Right now, the air quality is good in Chicago, but you may remember, in those past years, wildfire smoke from Canada made it very difficult to breathe for some.
It's kind of wild to think that all the dirt that's covering our cars is just from like way far away, Texas.
I have some talking to do with Kansas.
Yeah, exactly. We got your dirt, Kansas.
You guys can pay for my car wash.
Hey.
How about that?
All right, 7:28. There's the sun. It might be all we see today. It's going to be rainy later. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
for the people.
Welcome back. Time now, 7:30, and we are following breaking news. Along a major expressway, at least 2 people are dead and 3 others hurt after a crash on the Bishop Ford.
Plus, police arrest the former Prince Andrew Mountbatten Windsor over an alleged connection to Jeffrey Epstein.
And Governor J.B. Pritzker is highlighting his plans for the state after unveiling a $56 billion budget proposal. Now, while there's little new spending as part of this proposal, the governor is not only proposing a new tax on social media companies, he's got a lot of other proposals as well.
As Brett Bruganski reports, he also wants to pause tax credits for those building new data centers.
Right now, everyday people are having trouble making ends meet.
It's the theme of this year's Illinois State of the State address.
Affordability and stability for our families.
Whether you ask Governor J.B. Pritzker,
too much for groceries, too much for housing.
House Speaker Chris Welch,
making everything from health care to home energy unaffordable.
Or Republicans Darren Bailey,
they're living inside of grocery stores where prices are too high.
And Ted Dabrowski.
The wages can no longer keep up.
Too much for electricity.
To address the rise in energy demands and rising electric bills, the governor proposed a 2-year pause on authorizing tax credits on new data centers.
That opened up the possibility and the door for construction of new modern reactors.
Pritzker also pitched another energy solution to drive down costs and increase supply in the form of nuclear energy.
My goal is delivering at least 2 gigawatts of new clean nuclear capacity in our state, enough to power up to 2 million Illinois homes.
We are outpacing the ability to create energy here because we're cutting down our baseload energy.
But Republicans appeared skeptical of that plan and criticized pausing tax credits for data centers.
At a time when other states are competing aggressively for investment, this is what we listened to today. Illinois doesn't have a revenue problem. Illinois has a spending problem, and Illinois has a priorities problem.
I had someone mention them on Chicago Now not too long ago.
Yeah. That was our Brett Bruganski reporting. I'm Brian Jackson with some of the other top stories we're following this morning, including some breaking news. 2 people are dead and 2 others are hurt after a terrible crash on the Bishop Ford. Happened around 1 a.m. near 111th. You can see an SUV crashed and rolled onto its side. One of the people hurt is now fighting for their life. Right now, all lanes are back open, but the inbound on-ramp from 111th remains closed. We'll keep you updated as we learn more. Also breaking, UK police have arrested their former Prince Andrew Mountbatten Windsor over reports that he sent trade information to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein back in 2010. Andrew had already been stripped of his royal titles because of his ties to Epstein. The king says police have the royal family's full support and that the law must take its course. A man accused of killing his wife by throwing her down the stairs of a South Loop condo building is expected to enter a plea in court today. Adam Beckerink has been in the Cook County Jail since being extradited from Michigan, where he was serving time for a separate domestic violence charge. He's now charged with first-degree murder and the death of his wife, Caitlin Tracy. Also new this morning, we now have the schedule for services to honor the late civil rights leader, Reverend Jesse Jackson. He will lie in state at the Rainbow Push Coalition next Wednesday and Thursday. On Friday, there will be a public celebration of life at the House of Hope, and homegoing services will be at Rainbow Push on Saturday. Checking in with Mike for a look at the forecast. Beautiful sun out there, Mike.
Yeah, it is. Look, today is not going to be as warm as it was yesterday. It won't be as perfectly sunny as it was yesterday, but we're looking at another day. It's going to be the 7th day in a row with way above normal temperatures. I think most of us will get to the 50s. The exception might be right along the lakefront. Right now it's 40 at O'Hare, but only 27 at Aurora's Airport, 32 at DeKalb, 37 at Gary, 42 at Merrillville. Valparaiso, you've had some rain this morning. It is 45 degrees there. Another mild day, but there is some winter on the way. It is so mild, in fact, especially to our south, pretty high risk of severe thunderstorms. An orange enhanced risk, or level 3 out of 5, is showing up south of Indianapolis, going into southeast Illinois. In Chicagoland, it's a level 1 out of 5 risk of severe weather, and that is primarily for hail and maybe some gusty winds accompanying a few of these thunderstorms. I don't think it is going to be a widespread severe weather outbreak, but a few of these cells that come in here late this afternoon and even more so tonight could have a little bit more punch than you would really expect in February. This is our Futurecast, and at 10:30, we're looking at a pretty good line of them going through the northern suburbs and then zipping up into Wisconsin. Overnight, things quiet down, but tomorrow morning, what's this? Snow. Little bit of snow, not a big deal, but it will likely be a little hard to take after how warm it has been here lately, and it might be enough to coat the ground in a few spots. The rest of Friday will be dry but chilly with temperatures in the 30s all afternoon long. In fact, I have several days in a row where the highs will only be in the 30s. That's the culprit there, that area of low pressure that's going to steam through here tonight. There's that snow wrapping around on the backside. Again, I can't envision any of us having to shovel after this thing goes through. All right, let's look at a couple of photos that came in via the Fox 32 weather app. Many of you saw this last night. Bethany Roto among them. She was in Cary, and that is the waxing crescent moon hanging low in the sky. And then that bright dot there, that is the planet Mercury. Mercury is very difficult to see anytime because it never gets far away from the sun in the sky. But because of its position there, very close to the moon, it's kind of an easy spot. Many people don't even know that they've seen Mercury. But if you saw that last night, you can say, yeah, I saw Mercury. Good picture, Bethany. Here is a different scene. We're going to Playa del Carmen and the Yucatan Peninsula, where Liz Nunez Medrano sent in this beautiful picture of the sun going down there. I bet it was warmer there, as warm as we've been. I'm sure there in Mexico it was warmer at the beach. And our final picture, another shot of the moon and Mercury. Kathy Daniel was in Grays Lake when she caught this picture and quickly texted me saying, what is this? And so I had to tell her it is the moon and Mercury. All right, it's 7:37. These are the travel times. Looks like some big delays coming inbound, especially on the Eisenhower. We'll be right back after this.
Welcome back, 740 on your Thursday morning. This is a battle many are waging silently. Almost every single one of us will end up providing care for someone else or need it ourselves in our later years. It's something that the family of Reverend Jesse Jackson touched on following his death.
My brothers and sisters are due a level of congratulations for the caregiving that each of them have provided over the course of Dad's illness. Caregivers in the United States are an unrecognized commodity in the United States that are not covered by any health care program in this nation. Each of us in our own way have come to appreciate that the $550 billion to $625 billion a year that those of us who have to change our careers, change our lives because we simply don't want to turn our loved ones over to just any old body, is a factor in our nation's healthcare debate.
All right, in the final months of his life, Reverend Jackson was battling a neurodegenerative disorder called progressive supranuclear palsy. In-home elder care costs, though, are rising, apparently at more than 3 times the rate of inflation. But it's not just the literal cost of caregiving that's the challenge. There are hidden costs as well. And joining us now to discuss some of these is Beth Pinkser. Her book is called My Mother's Money. She authored that, and she is here to talk to us about kind of navigating this this territory here. Beth, thank you for joining us. You have personal experience in this. Will you kick it off by telling us a little bit about your own caregiving story?
So my mom had a back surgery when she was 76, and she thought she'd be back on her feet after about 2 weeks, but she asked me to, come for the surgery and take care of whatever was going to be needed. It turned into about 9-10 months of ups and downs and complications before she unfortunately passed away. And in that time period, I had to basically step in and take care of every aspect of her life and her care from that point forward of the surgery.
And I'm guessing that you had to put your own life, your own career on hold during those months as well. So sorry to hear about your mother. Can you give our audience an idea of just how expensive in-home elder care has become?
More expensive than you can even imagine. The amount of money that was going out of my mom's budget every month was mind-boggling to all of us. It was more money than we had ever spent on anything in our entire lives. And my mom had saved. My parents were both teachers, and they had saved and saved and saved, just like you're supposed to do. And it's very disconcerting to watch that pile of money that you have so assiduously gathered throughout your entire life just dwindle down to nothing.
Yeah.
Because you need care at the end of your life.
Why has the cost of in-home care gone up so much?
It just takes a lot to get the job done. You have to pay people a fair wage. You have to cover for vacations and sick days and, food in the house and all sorts of, other things that you might not count as pure wages. But my mom needed 24/7 care because she was immobile. And that adds up. If you're paying $20 plus, dollars an hour for care 24/7, every day, day in, day out, then those caregivers need a sick day or a vacation, and then you have to pay for the caregiver that's sick or on vacation plus their replacement. And it just gets to be a lot.
Yeah, the meter never stops running. It's unbelievable. Okay, so you've written a book on this. Are there any safety nets for folks in this position from the state government, from the federal government? What is even out there?
A lot is going to depend on where you live and what assets that you have. The only true safety net out there for this kind of care is Medicaid. And for Medicaid in most states, your assets have to be virtually down to nothing. You can keep your house, but most of the federal limits and state limits are at about $2,000. So you really have to spend down to nothing. And in-home care coverage from Medicaid is hard to get. Most Medicaid coverage is used in nursing homes, in facilities of some kind. And so to qualify for care at home through Medicaid is much harder. And it's going to depend on the generosity of your state. Like where I live in New York, it's a lot easier than, say, Oklahoma.
All right, Beth, we're out of time, so we're going to have to leave it there. But any last-minute advice for any folks who may be in this position or about to be in this position before we go?
Talk about it. It's good to get on the same page and figure out what everybody wants. Your parents' plan may be to come and live with you, and that might not be your best option.
Okay.
So everybody needs to just be open and honest about what they're feeling and what they want.
Good advice there. Beth Pinsker, thank you so much for your time this morning, getting the conversation started. We appreciate it. All right, 746 back here in Chicago. Here is a look at what is coming up on Good Day Chicago during our 8 and 9 o'clock hours. So keep it right here, everybody. Hope you're having a great morning.
Fox Primetime Hoops.
Welcome back. The time is now 7:49. We're following some breaking news this morning.
2 people are dead and 3 others are hurt after a really bad crash that happened on the Bishop Ford. Happened around 1 a.m. right near 111th. You can see in this video an SUV crashed. It rolled onto its side. One of the people hurt is fighting for their life right now. All lanes are back open, but the inbound on-ramp on 111th Street remains closed.
UK police have arrested the former Prince Andrew Mountbatten Windsor over reports he sent trade information to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein back in 2010. Andrew had been stripped of royal titles because of his ties to Jeffrey Epstein. The king says police have the royal family's full support and the law must take its course.
A man accused of killing his wife by throwing her down the stairs of a South Loop condo building is expected to enter a plea in court today. Adam Beckerink has been in the Cook County Jail since being extradited from Michigan. He had been serving time there on a separate domestic violence charge. He is charged with first-degree murder in this case in the death of his wife, Caitlin Tracy. He denies the accusations.
A ban on intoxicating hemp products is dead after Chicago City Council failed to override Mayor Brandon Johnson's veto. Mayor Johnson says he vetoed the measure out of concern for small businesses, but some council members say he should consider the risk to children, too.
Let me be absolutely clear. I am very much concerned and share the concerns that have been raised about hemp products lacking proper safeguards, especially when it comes to packaging or sales practices that may appeal to our children. But while we wait for additional guidance and rules from the federal government, I am vetoing the proposed ordinance as written, as it felt premature and would effectively be a prohibition-style ban on hemp businesses.
There are hundreds of hemp shops in Chicago, and Mayor Johnson says they generate millions in tax dollars.
All right, it's 9 minutes until 8 o'clock. We are checking in with our very own Jake Hamilton.
He's already drinking.
Yeah, for the second morning in a row, it looks like. Jake?
Listen, guys, we all have just something where we got to get it out of our system, right? Well, what if I told you that we've got the perfect place for you? It's Breaking Point Rage Room. We're out in Chicago Heights. It's a healthy expansion, a healthy way to maybe just get stuff out of your system. Have you ever just wanted to just really just get out all your feelings, but in a healthy, cathartic way? It's not about rage. It's not about aggression. It's just feeling good and just kind of just banging stuff, right? So we're going to tell you how you can come out here, have a great time, and I promise you when you leave, you're going to feel a lot better. That's coming up right here on Good Day Chicago.
said.
Welcome back. New this morning, police in Indiana have arrested a Lake Central High School student over an alleged gun threat. The school tells the Times of Northwest Indiana the student made a comment about, quote, bringing a gun to school and shooting up the school on Wednesday. Police are going to be on campus today as a safety precaution. Now, this is not the first gun scare at that particular high school. In 2021, the school went on lockdown after a student thought that he heard a gun being cocked in a bathroom. The call triggered a full-scale active shooter response. Police say they did not find any guns and there were no shots fired.
Elgin police confirm a body found in the Fox River on Tuesday belongs to a man who has been missing for months. Officials identified him as 53-year-old Ulysses Miguel Segura Durantes. He disappeared back in November. An autopsy determined he drowned.
An 8-month-old is in the hospital after her stroller rolled right into Lake Michigan. Chicago police say it happened Wednesday around 2 p.m. on North Lakeshore Drive at Melrose Street. Multiple people immediately jumped into action to pull the girl out of the water. At last check, that little girl, that baby, in good condition.
7:56, getting closer to the 8 o'clock hour here. Plenty more Good Day Chicago ahead. Keep it right here.